How do I overcome the fear this wouldn't work? I'm scared of another year like this. I need to execute the plans I made to make myself healthier, but I'm afraid to bloom. Well, Maya, you're being honest because most people do not realize this is what they're really struggling with. You see, if I was to say to you, imagine you could have a life filled with unlimited success and happiness, I'm sure you probably wouldn't say no thanks, right? You'd be like, Tim, where do I sign up? Yes or no? And yet, if you observe the choices you're making every single day, you realize you're making these choices to prevent yourself from having more successes and happiness. So it's almost like we're actually afraid of our full potential because we are. Now, that might sound quite strange. We spend a lot of time trying to strive for more, to be more, to become more. Why are we afraid of our full potential? Well, the answer is very simple. It's because the moment you start living into your future that you desire, the moment you stop procrastinating on the projects you've been procrastinating on, the moment you commit and refuse to give up, that officially marks the death of your old way of being, thinking, and acting. You're literally waving goodbye to that old story of you. So in that moment, do you think your survival mind that's rooted in survival is going to panic? Do you think it's slight chance your mind will begin to hold yourself back? You bet. And this is why in that very moment of uncertainty, feeling uncomfortable, most people take a step back, not take a step forward. They take a step back to ensure they go back into their comfort zone, the dreaded safety zone. So you're not the only one struggling with this. This is the struggles of billions of people around the world. This is why most people do not change in this lifetime. So how can you change in spite of your mind's refusal of the change? Is by understanding how your mind reacts to change. How your mind begins to react to change is very predictable. At the start of this journey, you'll often feel very excited. At the start of anything new, you tend to feel a sense of excitement, right? Some sense of, yeah, I can do this. Things are going to be amazing. But as you commit to that more and more, you feel what's called apprehension. That's your natural trigger the survival mind uses. Apprehension is when your logical mind is coming up with logical statements. Why now is no longer the right time. How many know what I'm talking about? Your mind begins to say, I can't afford that anymore. Don't have enough time. This isn't the right fit for me. I tried something similar. It hasn't worked for me. Why is it going to work right now? Your mind knows exactly how to say it to you so you feel right about it. Right about giving up. Now, my mind uses statements that's rooted in time-related worries, since that's my insecurity. It will say stuff like, Tim, you're too busy for this, right? You got no time for this one, right? That's my favorite statement from my mind, by the way. And it might be yours as well. Or maybe yours is more money issues, whatever it is. Just become aware of it. Has all rooted in prevention of change. Yes or no? Now, some of you still decide to move forward in this very moment because you're courageous. But this is when your mind and body now will ensure it's got the next trigger that will hopefully talk you out of the game. And this trigger is now emotion. The emotion you will feel is fear. It's fear. You begin to feel it bubbling up in your body, right? And it will begin to take control of the strings without you realizing you're being manipulated. This is why we always say on board LMA, never make empowering decisions from a state of survival. Never make decisions when you're in a state of survival, aka feeling fear, because it'll always be a wrong decision. Let's be honest, how many of you ever made a decision before? And then if you're being honest with yourself, you're like, I wish I'd stuck to that. I wish I'd gone for it when I had the chance to. I used to feel this all the time, especially because I come from a social anxiety background. I used to get some speaking opportunities on a stage, and I'll always, when I feel fear, begin to talk myself out, not show up, say I'm too busy, right? That's what I did. But you'll see some people in this moment still decide to move forwards. They still take a step forwards. And it's in this very moment you begin to see some changes. So what we got to do if you want to truly change your life is you got to become a person who embodies courage. What is courage? It comes from the Latin, cor, translated meaning heart. It means somebody's taking a step forwards with their heart. And to be courageous, it doesn't mean absence of fear. To be courageous, it means to move forward in spite of fear. That's courage. That's courage. So when you're plagued by fear, you choosing to move forwards, you choosing to follow your heart, that's what's going to change your life. That's what's going to allow you to really experience the things you want to experience. So remind yourself anytime your mind is saying, Tim, I can't do this anymore, or I can't do this because of so-and-so, you got to just remind yourself this. Not doing something also is pretty painful. So sometimes your mind, just realizing this will get you to move. Instead of focusing on what's the cost of action, put your focus on what's the cost of inaction. What's the cost if you don't go for it this year? What's the cost if you don't change? What's the cost next year, this time round? You're truly regretting everything because you didn't move when you had the chance to. What's the cost then? Put that focus on the cost of inaction, and I can promise you, your mind will begin to get you to move as well. So to summarize, the most important thing you got to be is to be a person who's courageous, to lead your life with your heart. Your heart knows what you should be doing. Don't allow the fear to plague you like everybody experiences.